And here we go. We are live. Welcome everybody to this LinkedIn live session. My name is Michel Bouman. I'm the Territory Channel Manager of Modern Work for Microsoft in the Netherlands. And I'm not here all by myself. I'm actually looking to the, I never know which side to look. Here we are. Ilya Bukshteyn, welcome to the LinkedIn live session.
I'll try and figure out I guess I turned around this way. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Tell me a bit
Um,
about your role in Microsoft.
sure. So I lead the devices area for the product group.
Okay.
You can also see my dog, and my wife's
Yeah.
about to walk by in the background here. It's the COVID reality. So I lead the devices area, as I said. So I've got the privilege of leading the team that does our portfolio strategy for all of our devices, our work with partners, and then also we do the software that runs on devices for room
Mhm.
systems, collaboration bars, other devices that run a purpose-built Teams app.
Okay.
We also do the protocols, the devices like this that have a Teams button used to integrate with
More.
Teams.
Yep.
We do the certification of devices like this in our room systems so that they have really high quality and we can assert and support a high bar for audio and video quality. And effectively, we do everything we can to make sure that all Teams users have the right devices to get the most out of Teams, especially calling in meetings at home, in an office, hopefully soon, everywhere
Mhm.
in between.
Yeah, okay, let's get into it. For everybody that is tuning in now, welcome to the Microsoft Teams Devices Q&A session. That means that you can do the Qs and we'll try to do all the As. So you can start submitting your questions in the comment section right now, and we'll try to answer as many in the next, let's say, 30 to 45 minutes. Let's see how many questions we can actually tackle. Maybe start with the basics, Celia. What makes a Microsoft Teams certified device certified?
So, tactically, what makes it certified is we publish a uh, spec that our partners have to meet. We then build a set of test cases around that spec, which we deliver to independent third party test labs.
Mhm.
Partners work with us to co engineer the devices. They then submit them to the test labs for quantitative objective testing.
Got it.
We then also do subjective testing to make sure real world, the device actually looks and sounds good.
Hmm.
That's the process. What it
Okay.
actually means is we know that it works well and delivers a great experience with Teams. And that's everything from audio quality, video quality, HID controls, buttons, but also now more advanced capabilities. So our
Mhm.
new Teams certification, devices like this, have a dedicated button with the Teams logo. It does
Yes.
everything from bring up the Teams app when there you go,
Yeah.
nice, well done. So you press the button. If the Teams app is in the background, it'll come up. The Either the device or the USB dongle that I'm using here
Mhm.
will actually have a light. So this USB dongle lights up purple, Teams purple, to tell me that it's connected to Teams.
Yeah.
If I have a voicemail that I missed or a call that I missed, it'll flash. If I have a meeting about to start and I'm having so much fun with you that I'm carried away and not thinking about it, it'll
Mhm.
flash. One touch of the Teams button takes the action that I need to take. So goes right to the pre-join screen for the meeting, for example.
Right. I love those little details. I was looking, so I have the I just showed you the I think this is the Logitech Zone.
Yeah.
This is the wired version, and then I have
I've
the
I've got all of them, by the way, here. I've got
yeah.
every device.
And let's show a couple. I have the this is the Jabra Evolve 265, and it
Okay.
also has the dedicated Teams button right here. And I like the way that this indeed lights up purple on the sides when I'm on a call, but also on these babies. This is the
Yeah.
Yeeling. It's the CP900. We have the I think we can play bingo or
Yes.
something like that together. Yeah.
There we go. Yes.
With again the dedicated Teams button that's here. We
Yep.
have our first questions coming in. So before we get into some more stuff, let's start answering these. Rob is asking, "What device are you using?" And I'm kind of assuming that he's asking the question to you because you are wearing a device that we haven't. I don't think we've seen before.
So I want to preface this by saying I have a ton of devices. I am super fortunate. All of our partners send me devices to try. So right now I have keep calling them Sennheiser, EPOS Sennheiser,
Right.
Adapt 460T. It's active noise canceling, in-ear Teams button device. But I also have my trusty Jabra Evolve 75 active noise canceling, very nice
Right.
device. Logi wireless. Let's see, what else have I got? Brand new in our ecosystem. I know a lot of people were waiting for these. Is Bose. So I don't remember the model. I think it's called the 700, but with the Teams button, the Bose quality that everyone knows and loves.
If anyone from Bose is watching this, please reach out.
Of course, Plantronics Poly. Love this Voyager UC. Love this device. I'm missing some. I know I've got even more in here. Let's see. Also EPOS, also an Adapt
Right.
on ear. Really, really nice device. So I'm
Right.
super fortunate. I use a bunch of devices. I also use the pucks. So Jabra 750 Teams certified. The
Yeah, I have
Yealink
one of those here, I think.
CP960. Yeah, when my ears need a break from wearing something, I switch to all of those.
This is this is really starting to look like the device show. This is the Jabra. I think it's the 750. I'm not sure.
The new one with the Teams button is called the 750. The
Yes,
previous
this is
one
the
was the
750.
710. The one with the
Yeah,
Teams button is the 750.
can't really see it, but there's the button. It's right. It's right here. It's right here. And then obviously, and then we'll get to more questions. I'm in love with this one. Right? We'll get into it. We'll get into it. Yeah, mine is. Oh, but you got the new
I
firmware
have the
running.
new experience. That's right. That's
I'll talk about it,
ooh.
and we have to talk about it after the session. Um, I love the Lenovo ThinkView, but
Think
let's
smart
go here.
view, yes.
Think Smart View, that's the correct name. Yeah, thanks. Let's see. We have a question coming in from Charlie. Charlie asks, "What's the long-term plan for surface-based MTRs?"
Yeah, and I just noticed my video stopped.
Me too.
I think Logi needs to send me a new camera, maybe. I think I've got one that's dog food. Not having a good time restarting it. I'll try and get it going. So,
Sure.
what's the long-term plan? Well, we continue to support them, but we're not doing any new surface-based MTRs. What we found is our hardware partners, frankly, were doing a great job using either purpose-built compute or kind of building off of standard industry compute. So now with HP doing compute, with Lenovo, Dell now being used by Logi, those systems are great. They're more modular, so not having all the connections necessarily in the center of room with the console. In Surface, it is a great product, very focused on the end user, but they do things like, for example, Surface has a lower thermal skin setting than most other computers because you hold it. And so for an
Right.
Intel-based device, they choose to say the device should never get too hot
Right.
relative to other laptops or two-in-ones. That's great if you're an end user. But the problem is if that thing is sitting in a room, that actually limits CPU performance. And so there's just a mismatch between the Surface focus and we think some of the room needs moving forward. So we'll continue to support it, but there's no new Surface based MTRs coming out. There will at some point be features that we will not be able to support on older systems. So when we did the content camera feature, for example, it took extra work to get it to work on the Surface devices. specifically because of the CPU performance limitations. So there will come a time when we will not be able to, keep delivering every feature for every MTR.
Got it. I think what I like about our strategy, I think Satya's talked about it even when we had the phone discussion. I don't think we're gonna ever try to do the same thing that others are doing. Yet we want to set a new standard and then see how all the other third parties start building things based on that base that foundation that we've set. And I think, and your video is dying
frozen
once
again.
again.
I
Frozen.
gotta get a new Logic camera. So if there's someone on the line from Logic, I'll send an email. I'm pretty sure my camera keeps dying.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. So I like how we kind of set the foundation, and then all these brands are building cool stuff on top of it. Let me see. We have more questions. What are the video devices with focus in home office?
Yeah. Right now there's a challenge in production. Obviously, like our partners are increasing production 4, 5, even 10x in some cases. And as people have seen, it's really hard to buy webcams and headsets today. Now, that said, our first goal is work with our partners, get devices that people could just buy. At the same time, we are seeing this interesting kind of development where there's a broadening of the kinds of devices people want. In other words, what we're hearing from customers is this is kind of the new normal. Not necessarily everybody working from home all the time, but the fact that most employees will be working from home some of the time. That changes the calculus for how they think about what they equip employees with. So there's a hypothesis that we have that remote work equipment is going to become kind of like the new fancy cafeteria food. In other words, it's going to be a benefit that people use to attract employees. And so that being the case, we think there's going to be an expansion to the low end and the high end. So what I mean by that is there's going to be people who will want to just buy a whole bunch of headsets, cheaper webcams, get them out to a whole bunch of people very quickly. But at the same time, there's going to be folks that are going to want to buy much higher end sort of studio grade devices for home. And especially for video, we're seeing this already with some of our employees. They're setting up lighting. They're using DSLR cameras with adapters to have great studio quality video. So we think there's an opportunity for us to work with our partners to do remote work packages that span the good, better, best continuum.
Right.
That's part one. Now, I've still covered just peripherals. At the same time, we think there's going to be a great opportunity for more turnkey solutions. So that same Think Smart View that you showed, we just announced Teams displays. It's a smaller device in terms of the screen, but that's a device you could just give an employee, they plug in, log in, they have a great video, audio, all in one device. So we think we'll see more of those solutions, meaning devices with compute that run a purpose-built Teams app and sort of just work and make it very easy for an employee to one-touch join the meeting while still using their personal computer for other stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what I like the most about the Think Smart View, is that indeed it's just I don't have to be on my device. I don't have to be on my laptop, right? I can just plug it in wherever I want to, push that one button, and I still get that same experience that I get from Teams. I also don't have to learn a new device, right? Because it's all familiar, it's all inclusive, and then from the IT perspective, and I think we'll touch on that as well. From the IT perspective, it's also very manageable.
I agree. It's exactly the goals that we have.
We have a question coming in from Hans. Hi, Hans. Actually, somebody I know personally. Has COVID impacted the roadmap for devices drastically? And do you recommend to log in with your personal account on a collab bar, for instance, for home office use?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually are continuing to just get more and more signals and data on the post-COVID environment or current COVID environment, and so there's a couple of interesting data points that we're seeing. One is, and this is maybe not intuitive, organizations expect to increase their video collaboration spending. Now, you would say, oh, that's because of all of the personal devices, but actually 75% expect to increase it for room systems. And that's because of what I said of the new normal. All work is going to be hybrid, we think. And therefore, you kind of get to a situation where you say, the office is really one big set of meeting rooms. Every space, like, why do people come into offices? Well, to see each other in person, but also every meeting is going to have people that are going to be remote. And as such, every space needs to be video conferencing enabled. So we're seeing this already in terms of both active device deployments and sales of room systems. They're past pre-COVID levels. So point number one, we think room system shared devices are going to actually accelerate. Point number two, everything I just said about personal devices at home, we think is going to accelerate as well. So for us, what this means is we've upped our roadmap and investment in personal devices. That includes both peripherals and Android-based devices like Teams displays. But we've also had to up our investment in shared devices. So that's us in terms of roadmap. Now, I think what you're asking about for the home login, if you will.
Yeah, so it's personal. Do you recommend to log in with your personal account on a collab bar, for instance, for home use?
Right. So we can support that, and that's one of the things we're investing in. Absolutely. So we are investing in what we call personal mode for devices, and we have a few choices. So collab bar, you can log in personal. You could do that today. There's a few rough edges that we're fixing in the current quarter, such as enabling proximity join from another personal device to a collab bar with personal login. You log in with your personal account into Teams displays. So yes, we will invest more into the features for personal login for devices. And by the way, I know somebody, Philip, asked kind of a question that's related, which is plans to transition away from PCs.
Yes.
I want to answer that. There's no plans to transition away from PCs.
Okay.
There are plans to invest also in Android. So the way you can think about this is we will have Teams rooms on Android and we will have Teams rooms on Windows. That's not a branding statement. That's just kind of mentally how I think about it. We will have room experiences on Windows-based compute. We'll have room experiences on Android-based compute. Some people prefer Windows. Some people really, really don't want Android. Some people prefer Android. So we'll support both. Realistically, the feature set is always going to be more on Windows. Now, that's not because we make Windows. It's actually because of what we get out of the box on Windows. Like, as an example, there's no equivalent of standard USB drivers on Android. So I can't actually support an Android system that says, hey, you could plug in any camera or any audio device and it'll just work. That's not there. There's very limited support for things like multiple cameras and so forth. So we will increase our investment. So you will see for collab bars things like 1080p dual screen support, HDMI ingest support coming. And over time, you'll see the feature set, the core feature set, become more consistent. But you can always expect to have more advanced capabilities like content capture camera, for example, to be on the Windows-based systems.
Right. Talk a bit more about those content cameras.
Sure. I love content cameras. So content camera is another great feature for making people that are remote feel more included in meetings. So this is basically another camera that you plug into MTR, you point it at an analog whiteboard, and you can share that, and it's shared as a content stream. So you still see a video of the people in the room, but then you see a content stream of the analog whiteboard, and we do some very custom processing to sharpen the text, color correct, and actually the coolest thing is we use the same technology we use for background replacement to segment a person and make them look transparent if they step in front of the whiteboard.
Right.
And so it's not collaborative editing because it's still an analog whiteboard, but it makes it's actually the part of meetings I hate the most is when someone starts whiteboarding and I have no idea what they're doing if I'm remote.
Yeah.
It solves that problem.
Yep, and that's what I like about MTRs is it really bridges the gap that's being created in this hybrid world where you often just feel disconnected from what's happening in the room. Now with
Yep.
video and things like content camera, that's really changing.
Okay, I'm
Let's
gonna
see.
try to get my video working one more
Yeah,
time
sure.
here.
So for the people that are just tuning in, welcome. This is the Microsoft Teams Devices Q&A session. We have Ilya with us. His camera is going in and out. He's trying to fix it. If you have any questions, then we have many.
Hey,
Ah,
all
there we
right.
go. Good to see you again.
So I stole my wife's Brio and plugged it in while we were talking, and we'll see if that
Okay,
works.
you might owe one then.
Yes.
We have many questions coming in. Let's see. Let's pick a few. We'll get into the announcements from the other day soon. So let's skip those. Here's one coming in from Gary. Will MTR become fully manageable with Teams Admin Center? And will it
Yeah,
be a mix of Intune and Teams Admin Center? I thought you would be excited about this one.
I'm
Would
super excited about that one.
be nice to automate, install, monitor notifications going forward.
Yes. So you will hear a lot of news about this at Inspire next week.
Cool.
MTR and Teams Admin Center is in tap right now, and it will come out of tap very, very, very soon. And not only that, but we're actually going to paint we've quadrupled our investment in that. So you will see us paint a vision of what will happen in TAC. And so the Teams Admin Center, our vision very clearly is for all Teams devices, MTR, collab bars, phones, even peripherals, for you to be able to provision, monitor, manage, update, get alerting, create incidents integrated with ServiceNow in the Teams Admin Center. And we will deliver delegation, work on behalf, so that you can choose to have that operations be done yourself, or you can delegate it to a partner. Now, I should mention that that's our vision for Teams Admin Center for what you get with the product. We do also have a managed service called Microsoft Managed Rooms, where if you want Microsoft to operate the management of the rooms for you, that's a paid managed service that's optional for MTR only today, and it'll cover more room devices in the future. And so that's another option. And that's an option that can work together with partners, where Microsoft operates the management and then partners do the sort of last mile boots on the ground type of repairs or service as needed.
Okay, good stuff. I'm posting the link on the managed rooms to the managed rooms webpage now. I think this is the link where we talk about managed meeting rooms. So for everybody that wants to go check that out, there's the link. Let's see. We have a question coming in from Alexander. When will direct guest join come to Teams Collab Bar to join Zoom and Cisco meetings?
So first of all, I should apologize. We wanted to have direct guest join out already. Due to COVID, our partners, which so far we've announced Zoom and Cisco, have had other priorities, quite frankly. I think everyone's aware of stuff that they both have to do. So we've been delayed in the way direct guest join works is each side has to do the web-based experience for the rooms to do the join. We are in tap with Cisco right now. So WebEx devices joining Teams meetings, Microsoft Teams rooms joining Cisco meetings. We are very close, I hope, to getting the deliverables from Zoom needed to go into tap with Zoom. And then we have to look at tap feedback for when we release. I hope that we release around September, around the Ignite timeframe, but we have to look at tap feedback. We will do a couple of things with direct guest join after that. One is we will add more meeting vendors. So we don't have signed agreements, so I can't name them, but I'd say pretty much all of the major industry vendors have expressed significant interest. We will look to bring it to other devices, and collab bars are a natural, but I don't think that'll end up being this calendar year. I think the challenges of doing that on Android devices, just keep in mind, like these are Android devices that are what's called NGMS, not Google Mobile Services enabled. They're Android open source, and so the WebRTC stack, the browser, and so forth is variable. And so it's another example where we just get kind of a lot more standard capability in Windows out of the box. So it's possible for us to do it in Android. We want to do it. It's possible we'll get it done in Q4 of this calendar, but I think more realistically is it's sometime next year.
Next year, got it. Question from Eric: is there any way to rename camera peripherals to a friendly name to allow users to select camera based on function?
Is that in MTR? If so, yes, with a couple of asterisks. Yes, we can rename it. I don't remember if that feature is in GA yet or in early rings, but we don't have multiple camera switching support yet in Teams meetings. So that's something that we're working on. It's in our backlog, and hopefully it's something we can ship by end of this calendar year, where you'll be able to switch the camera right in the meetings.
Good stuff. Alexander has a couple of questions coming in. When will Autopilot come to MTR to remote deploy and provision the OS and Teams application?
Not soon enough. I'd love for it to already be there like yesterday. Actively working on it right now. I hope by end of this calendar year. It's absolutely our vision. Yeah.
Okay. Another question from Alexander, since he's on a roll. What's the big difference between a Teams display and high-end Teams desk phone? Looks like they have the same features, and I think we're slowly coming towards the big announcements from last week.
Should I talk about Teams display for a little bit?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is the first Teams display from Lenovo. This is the ThinkSmart View.
And I'll show the difference with mine.
Right.
So this is the old setup.
What you've got is the IP phone version. It runs our IP phone app. What I have is the version that runs Teams displays. Teams display is an experience that is designed to do more than IP phones. So IP phones are designed for calling and meetings.
Right.
Period. So even high-end video phones, they do calling and meetings. They do video in those. Teams display is an ambient, voice-powered, full Microsoft 365 device. What do I mean by that? It has a full Teams experience. So I can go into chats, channels, calendar, voicemail, in the future, extensibility applications. I can, with one voice command, look up someone and see their organization flowchart. I can view PowerPoint files and other M365 documents, just like I can in Teams on my PC. So this is really meant to be a full companion so that while you're working on your PC, you can take quick actions, either with touch or even more voice-driven, powered by Cortana, who just woke up on my Teams display, on this device, and really be able to stay in the flow of what's coming up for me in the activity feed on the ambient screen. be able to take quick actions, look at files quickly, really, a more complete experience. Now, over time, some of these capabilities will come to Teams phones as well. We fully expect to bring Cortana to some of these phones on ambient screen. But there's a couple of differences. One is there are some people who just want a phone. They want a phone that does calling and meetings. So even if we bring the same UX language from the ambient screen, they may not want to see chats and channel activity and so forth. Two is not all phones will have the same hardware capabilities. So these devices are relatively high CPU, multiple mics, tuned for far field commands. So the capabilities may be different based on the hardware and the price points, frankly. But you will see the same design language. We think of this as a great personal experience, and you'll see the same design language come to collab bars when you log in with a personal account, IP phones, etc. But we're very, very excited about this category. Lenovo's first. Yealink is coming shortly after that. I think we'll see others. There was a quick comment I saw, or question about will voice commands be available in the rest of the world? Yes, absolutely. Over time.
And I think that's a good one to I'm trying to find what the question is. I can't find it. Oh, there we go. Hans again. We've seen in the media saying Cortana's over, Microsoft has given up on Cortana. You and I know differently, right? We've definitely not given up on Cortana. But what's the role? Maybe the new role of Cortana looking forward, and then to answer Hans's question, will it be available outside of the US?
Yeah, so we think of Cortana as assistant technologies for productivity, and there we think built off of the Office 365 graph, fully compliant so that you stay in control of your data and your company stays in control of its data.
That's a big one.
That's, we think, very, very differentiating. We think we've got great assets and capabilities there. It's being built into our productivity application, so you've seen it in Outlook Mobile. We announced it being connected to Teams Mobile and Teams displays. You will see it come to more Teams clients and Teams devices. And so we absolutely think that's an area that is both a key investment for us and one that we think we can deliver unique value. In terms of rest of the world, yeah, absolutely, it will come. We started with EN US, English. We're expanding to all other English locales. We'll then get to French locales and other languages. We're also looking at whether we enable English to be used in other parts of the world for people like you who have awesome English. So much better than my Dutch, which is non-existent.
That was an easy one then.
So we're we can't wait to expand this to other parts of the world. It's absolutely key for us. There were a couple of questions on when, by the way. So
yeah, let's try to cover most of those.
Yeah, so we're entering tap for Teams display now.
Talk a bit about that. So what's the for those that are not aware, what's the difference between internal, tap, MVP, and then is there something in between? I don't think so. GA.
Yeah, so we do internal dog fooding of all of our features, and there's actually multiple rings of that. So there's a developer ring, there's a Teams team ring, there's a broader Microsoft ring, and then when we get pre-release stuff out to customers, that's TAP, Technology Adoption Program. So we have a set of customers that's different for a given device or an endpoint. And then we get to GA based on feedback, where we tend not to be date driven, we're quality and feedback driven. So I can't, 100% say that we will GA on date X. It does really depend on how new some of the capabilities are and what we see in TAP. But hopefully GA follows not too far after TAP.
Okay, are we talking Q3, Q4, Q1? Can't say. That's also an answer,
Yeah,
right?
can't say. Look forward to seeing everyone at Virtual Ignite in the fall.
Right. Okay. I hope everybody got that. There's a question from Jimmy. There's a roadmap ID for Microsoft Teams room device for Q4. Alerts in room meeting participants if the room is over capacity based on the data defined in the room account, which I think is an awesome feature now in this new hybrid world. However, you're saying that not all cameras will support the feature. Can you speak to this and how will it be implemented?
Yeah, so we're trying to look at a kind of a holistic end-to-end view around people counting, capacity, and utilization. So all of those are sort of connected. You need to know the capacity of rooms. So people will have to, right now, very few people honestly fill in that field in Active Directory for a room object. So we'll have to get IT administrators to actually go in and tell us what the capacity is of a room. We'll need to get some way of counting how many people in the room. Ideally, that is automated. So you can have cameras that auto frame, that basically do segmentation and understand humans. We're working with all of our partners on those to feed us the signal. And quite frankly, I expect that to now be the baseline for any new camera that goes into a room. It's going to have to be able to do that basic level of people understanding.
And with Azure, obviously, you can pull using cognitive services. You can see how many people are in the room, right?
Right. So hardware can tend to do that better for rooms today. Cognitive services can do some of that, but it's usually better for one or two people for smaller spaces. We are working to see what we can do in the service in partnership with Azure for cameras that don't support it in hardware. We can try to do some of that in software. But at the same time, we're also working with partners to say, we think in the future cameras will frankly run some machine learning code that can be updated quickly over time. And we may be able to provide some of that code. So we can say, hey, there's this module of machine learning code where you can leverage our service, but run it on the edge. So long term, we're pursuing all those paths. Short term, what we also want to do is be able to have someone type in a number. Like if you actually flag on the console or on your device that Jimmy and I are in the room capacity is 2, we know we're done, right? And so then we need to pop alerts in the room. The room is at capacity. No one else should come in. Right. Maybe for the admin center, for the admin, and then also ideally over time on the calendar hall display so that when I'm coming to the room, I can see sort of a bright red light that says, actually, don't come in. Nope. Don't do the open the door and freeze like a deer in the headlights. But don't come in, and then ideally on the calendar hall display or on your personal device, find a nearby room that you can go to that has capacity.
Okay. The overflow room. I was kind of expecting to see that one going into Vegas, into Inspire, to go into the overflow room because rooms were already packed. But this can happen in meetings as well, right?
Yep.
Yep. And suggestion from Charlie: could you do chair counting? Same as you people counting.
It's a different object. I mean, you answered it. It's a different object to classify and find. We have a very significant investment, though, in segmentation for a person, right? So that's how we do background replacement. That's how we do the content camera, magic whiteboard stuff. So my senses are people segmentation, which right now is single person, but we can obviously build on that. That investment will accelerate, and develop faster than if we were to try to count chairs, especially because chairs have a lot of variation too.
Yeah, it should be very difficult to.
Yeah, humans, at least we all fundamentally sort of have a head and eyes, and there's more similarities than not.
Yeah. We have a question from another Alexander, and Alexander Eggers is actually, I'm not sure if you're aware, one of the bigger influencers in the European Teams ecosystem. I believe, Alexander, you're from Germany, if I'm not mistaken. And if I am, my apologies. But this is the guy that's always popping up on my LinkedIn feed with all kinds of stuff on Teams. So kudos there.
Hey,
Alexander is
on LinkedIn if you haven't already. I'd love to be connected.
Yes, and if not, then I'll connect the two of you. collaboration bar show the next event only 10 minutes before on the screen. Will there be an update similar to what's in the MTRs?
Yeah, so yes, that's a short answer. We are working right now on refreshing the collab bar ambient screen, if you will. We clearly heard the need to show more of the schedule. We're looking at potentially having a personal mode ambient screen that's kind of more like the Teams displays, as well as a shared mode one that's simpler. And as I said, we actually want to have a common design language across for the ambient screen across all of our displays. So yes, we're working on doing that right now.
Okay, we only got 5 minutes left. Let's see. We have
Time
so
flies,
many. Yeah, it does,
especially
right?
when you're trying to swap out cameras in the middle.
Yeah. There's a fun one here. Teams integration in CarPlay and Android Car.
There's no news I can share on that.
Okay, next one. Anything interesting on the horizon for Teams wearable devices?
Is that like RealWear?
I think
guess
similar to watch, bracelet, ring, maybe. I don't know.
nothing that I am aware of or can mention. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we have a question from. This is actually another Microsoftie. This is the product marketing manager from Modern Work in the Netherlands. What are your thoughts about Team Phone's significantly lower price point than today's portfolio, maybe offering a limited feature set? Do you see things being added?
I look forward to seeing everyone at Ignite. Yes. So look, we know we need that, and we know that there's factory floor, phones where you don't want a touch screen, maybe a smaller screen. I'd love to. Yeah, ruggedized would be the phone as well. So I'd love feedback on what low price means. The feedback we've gotten from analysts and customers is we need to get to below the $100 price point. That's something we're actively working on with partners. Look forward to seeing you at Ignite. One other thing I'll mention, with Link, back in the Link days, we had a ton of success with a thing that looked like a phone, but was basically a USB peripheral. It's plugged in, looks like a phone, lower cost. It's another interesting device category.
Will and I think this is a broader question, will the Shure IntelliMix room software-based DSP be certified to MTR? So I think the bigger question there is, for me at least, how can other brands get certified if there are?
So we, first of all, we work with Shure and certify their ceiling panel today. The one thing I'll say, for like, huge props to the team that does certification on my team. Albert Koyman leads that. Like, this is a really rough time to trying to be certified devices, because yeah, we can get them into the lab, but like, how do you do real world testing when you're all at home of room devices? And those guys, huge props. They're working their butts off and doing, just amazing amount of work. So we have a full queue of stuff that we need to get certified. And so I can't answer the specific Shure IntelliMix DSP. They are one of our partners. They talk to us all the time about certifying more stuff. We've got a pretty full queue. The second part of your question, which is adding new partners, we are pretty selective. So I will say I get pinged on LinkedIn at least once a day. So at least by somebody who's like, hey, I have XYZ product and I'd like to be certified. And we just can't accommodate that. So first of all, we don't think it's a good idea for our customers. We think sort of endless choice is not a great idea. We definitely want to provide some choice in every category, but not just anybody. So we look to say, is there technology differentiation for a given customer? Is there channel or for a given partner, I should say, channel or distribution differentiation? Like, what makes them an interesting addition to our portfolio? So we added Bose, for example, even though we have lots and lots of headsets, but we think Bose is differentiated on both aspects in terms of technology and channel. we will add partners, and we've added them recently around cameras and other areas, but it's not just sort of a free-for-all. But the person to contact is Albert Koyman on my team.
I don't know if he's gonna.
Kooiman at Microsoft.com.
I'm not sure if he's gonna like you for that one.
I know you already.
We're at the 45-minute mark. We still have a few questions coming in. Maybe we can go in the chat and then answer them afterwards.
Sure.
I think super exciting what happened with the announcements last week. Going off of the 2 hints that you gave, Ignite is going to be super interesting as well. And then some other announcements around the admin part at Inspire next week.
Yeah,
Thanks a
we're
lot.
very excited. And I was just going to say, thank you for everyone for the great questions. The engagement is just, I've been trying to keep one eye on all the questions, and it's just great to see the support. So thank you for everyone for the support of Teams devices, MTR. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ilya. Maybe we can do another one after Ignite to talk about all the stuff that you just announced.
I'm happy to do these as often as you'd like. Just let me know.
Let's do them. Okay, good stuff. Thanks so much, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for the interaction. I love the comments, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank you.
Thanks.